So, good morning all. Apologies for my delay. It was a car crash in Ethniki, and that delayed me a bit. Sorry, Apostle, and of course from the audience. Mr. Korakakis, I'm impressed. You always make excellent presentations, and I'm sorry I didn't have the opportunity to sit from the beginning, but it's fantastic and scientific, and thank you very much for this. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, and before I start, and this is food for thought, about what we're discussing today and about the future, especially of alternative fuels, you may all are aware of the collision that took place a couple of days ago off the coast of the United Kingdom. So, apart from this event, I'll tell you that it seems to be a pollution element. Nevertheless, the IOPC funds are not available. Why? Because jet fuel oil is not persistent oil, so it's not payable under the convention. So, let's go forward. And you know, jet fuel has been around for many, many years. Even now, it is not covered by, let's say, the IOPC funds. Imagine now, in the next 10, 15, 20 years, if all those conventions are not ratified and if, you know, some states do not agree to sign updated conventions, what will happen in case, let's say, an exotic alternative fuel leaks into the ocean? And who is gonna pay for that? So this is another thing that we need to put into the equation moving forward towards decarbonizing our industry. So let's start the presentation. Sorry. So, okay, I will not, as I told you before, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, and most of the things that you're going to see in my presentation have already been covered previously by Mr. Korakakis or previous fora. So, as I mentioned to you, the industry faces increasing pressure from regulators and, as you saw before, and stakeholders to decarbonize, and unfortunately, this is going to be a very costly exercise. And believe me, this cost eventually, sorry for that, will reach the end users, I mean the consumers, the ones who benefit from commodities being traded with vessels. So, as we saw before, and this is what I'm saying, that Mr. Korakakis' presentations always include everything. So, there are uncertainties, and we do not know what is the billion-dollar question. What is the alternative fuel of the future, and what will actually reduces the intensity, and what will actually lead our industry where it has to be. And, you know, a big thing, and people do not think about that, is infrastructure. And I'm not saying for the vessels, but I'm saying for the ports, because we always hear exotic solutions about electric ships going around, or, you know, ships with exotic fuels. And yes, I agree, in certain regions of the world, this is feasible, okay, but we do not live in Norway, we do not live in Finland, we do not live in, you know, in Denmark. And believe me, the commodities, 90% of the commodities our vessels carry come from other parts of the world that I cannot see vessels being able to charge their batteries in a port in the Niger River or somewhere else. So before we, you know, sometimes it's an illusion to think about all those good solutions, but we do not take into account the infrastructure, not for the ships. Again, the ships, we can build the ships to be like that, but also the infrastructure of ashore at the ports. And this is something to be considered. Another thing, talking about, from the scope of the insurance part of the industry where I belong, still the insurance industry has not yet placed a framework about alternative fuels. And rest assured, there is too much skepticism, let's say, within the IG P&I clubs regarding, let's say, pure car carriers carrying EV vehicles. It's very difficult and very expensive for the ship owners to find good insurance. Why? Still, we do not know how to fight the fire 100%. There are theories, there are fora that they're trying to put permanent extinguishing measures within the car carriers. Still, we are not 100% ready to deal with those kind of casualties. And you see, when a casualty like this happens, 95% is the total loss for the ship and total loss of the cargo. A very expensive claim for everybody. Emerging technologies and innovation is still here. Again, Mr. Korakakis very lively showed in his presentation. I will not go there. Yes, the technology is there, the innovation is there, ideas are floating around. People like good ideas, politicians like them. The thing is, are they good enough? And as you saw before, some of them, most of them, yes, they do some things, but not 100%. So still, all those nice ideas, their application is not guiding us towards our goal, towards 2050, approximately, to decarbonize our industry 100%. Low carbon transition, again, a very difficult exercise, mentioned before. It has to be long-time viable and sustainable, and not only for the environment. Yes, the environment comes first, but also it has to be viable and sustainable for the companies themselves. We are all within this industry to make money, and that's the thing. And we are all here to assist the smooth movement of commodities around the globe. So all those solutions should be sustainable. First, environmentally, yes, number one, the environment, but also financially. And I'm not erratic, and I'm not saying something here. I'm environmental pro 100%, but on the other hand, being within this industry for almost 30 years now, I understand the industry. So we need all of us to focus on those aspects. We as club, we see LNG fuel ships, LNG fuel as a transitional fuel, but with some, let's say, we have to take into account the methane footprint, which it's worse than CO2 and is one of the worst greenhouse gases. So we support methane abatement in Marine Innovation Initiative, MAMI, along with other reputable stakeholders of the industry, both ship-owning companies, managers, huge managers, and other organizations. What is MAMI? MAMI, you call it. Sorry for my English, it's not my native language, let's say. So anyway, what we discussed there in this, let's say, innovation forum is to find ways, first of all, to measure the methane abatement and the methane footprint, and try to find ways to minimize it. And to my mind, at least, LNG fuel will be here for the next 20-25 years. So how to make it more viable and how to assist more our industry. The thing with LNG is, even though that it is not as good as it was advertised 10 years ago, that would be the future, the fuel of the future. The thing is that we do have infrastructure relatively around the world, and the ships built can, with major transformations, of course, to burn, let's say, LNG. And this, along with, and if we manage to control, let's say, the methane footprint as much as possible, seems to be a more viable solution towards, to find the better fuel for the future. Okay, the long-term goals, again, I will not stay in that. I will just stay in the last, let's say, sentence, saying the economical way, the best way for the industry to remain viable. Call to action, yes, that's why we are here today. That's why we go to fora. That's why we discuss. That's why we think. We try to innovate. It's a very difficult task, a very difficult exercise. Unfortunately, our world and our industry is regulated by politicians who do not, let's say, have anything to do with our industry. I will be a bit radical here. I think that, to my humble opinion, nuclear is the future. Not now, maybe in 30, 40 years. We can start now. The fourth generation nuclear reactors are not that bad. There is also other technology. So expensive, I presume. Very difficult to impose this to the public. But this is my humble opinion, that if we want to achieve net zero emissions in the future, this is the way, unless we invent something else. I'm not a scientist, unfortunately. I wish I was one. I'm a humble captain. So let's stay in this wishful thought. Thank you very much.